My name is Commander Zrell of the Galactic Dominion Council, and I need you to understand something right from the start. I am not an idiot. I have conquered 47 star systems. I have subjugated species that could breathe fire, species that could phase through solid matter, and one particularly annoying species that could clone themselves every time you shot them. 47 systems, not a single failure on my record. So when I tell you that the Earth invasion was supposed to be simple, I need you to believe me. The intelligence reports were clear. The tactical assessments were flawless. The Dominion Council itself, those pompous bureaucrats who sit in their floating palaces and sip fermented nebula juice, they approved my plan unanimously. Unanimously. Do you know how rare that is? We had the firepower. We had the numbers. We had technology that would make their primitive silicon chips look like rocks tied to sticks. What we did not have, apparently, was accurate information about what a human being actually is. That was in retrospect a problem. Officer Blipnock was what we called a thorough professional. He had 3 advanced degrees in xenobiology, 2 in tactical assessment, and 1 in what he called not dying stupidly. He volunteered for the Earth Reconnaissance mission because, and I quote, "It will be the easiest assignment of my career." He landed his scout ship in what our satellites had identified as a low-threat residential zone, somewhere called suburban Ohio. The plan was simple. Observe the locals, identify their warrior caste, report back, extract before anyone noticed. The first person he encountered was a female human, approximately 70 Earth years old, designated as Ethel Kowalski. Blipnock watched from behind a decorative plant arrangement as this elderly specimen walked to her vehicle, a primitive combustion engine transport. He noted her slow pace, her curved spine, what appeared to be significant joint deterioration. Excellent, he thought. A weak specimen, perfect for baseline measurements. Then Ethel's vehicle would not start. What happened next, Blipnock described in his report as physically impossible according to all known laws of biology. Ethel stepped out of her vehicle. She walked to the front. She bent down, grabbed the underside of the chassis with her bare hands, and lifted the entire front half of the vehicle off the ground. Just hoisted it up like it was a bag of grain. Then she shook it. Actually shook a 2,000-pound vehicle. Blipnock's first transmission back to the mothership was, shall we say, concerning. "Commander, I think we may have accidentally identified their supersoldier training facilities as civilian zones." I told him to keep observing. His second report came 3 hours later, and I could hear the panic in his voice, which was impressive because Blipnock had 4 vocal cords and typically only used 2 at a time. "Sir, I am currently outside a child-rearing facility. Age range appears to be 4 to 6 years old. Commander, they are lifting the recreational equipment, not playing on it, lifting it, over their heads. One small human just carried a solid metal bench across the yard because her friend wanted to sit in the shade. She is maybe 3.5 feet tall. The bench weighs at least 90 pounds. She is not even breathing hard. Sir, what are we dealing with here?" I told him to find an average adult, someone normal, someone who could explain what was happening. Blipnock found Gerald. Gerald Patterson, age 42, occupation listed as accountant. Perfect. Accountants are sedentary. Accountants are soft. Accountants sit in climate-controlled environments and organize numbers. Blipnock approached him in what humans call a coffee shop, introduced himself as a foreign exchange student, and began asking innocent questions about Earth culture. Gerald was friendly. Gerald was helpful. Gerald mentioned that he worked 60 hours a week behind a desk, suffered from what he called chronic back pain, and had recently started wearing corrective lenses. Blipnock relaxed. Finally, a normal weak specimen. Then Gerald mentioned his weekend hobby. "Oh yeah, I do a bit of cliff diving," Gerald said, stirring his coffee casually. "Nothing crazy. Usually around 80-90 feet. Did a 120-footer last month. No equipment, obviously. That would be cheating. Really clears your head after a stressful week, you know." Blipnock's third transmission was just screaming. We had to sedate him when he returned to the ship. After Blipnock's psychological evaluation, which concluded with the medical staff recommending he never look at another human again, I decided we needed to take the diplomatic approach. If Earth had super soldiers, we would simply demand their surrender, peacefully, professionally. With only the implied threat of orbital bombardment, I sent Ambassador Thornick. Thornick was perfect for the job. He had negotiated treaties with the warlords of Septimus IX. He had stared down the hive queens of Andromeda Sigma without blinking. Well, without blinking his primary eyes. He blinked his secondary eyes constantly, but that was a medical condition. He arrived at the United Nations headquarters in New York City with a full honor guard, broadcast amplifiers, and a very impressive holographic display showing our military might. 17 warships in orbit, 300,000 troops ready to deploy, weapons that could crack continents. The human diplomat assigned to meet him was a man named Marcus Webb. Marcus wore a suit that cost approximately 30 Earth dollars. He carried a briefcase held together with tape. He offered Thornick coffee from a machine that looked older than most of our ships. So Marcus said, sitting down with absolutely no sense of appropriate fear, "What can we do for you folks today?" Thornick activated his translation matrix and began the formal surrender demand. "People of Earth, the Galactic Dominion Council has observed your military capabilities. We are impressed. We are also not interested in unnecessary bloodshed. Therefore, we demand you immediately surrender your elite super soldier program to our custody. In exchange, we will allow your civilian population to continue existing under our benevolent rule." Marcus blinked. "Our what now?" "Your super soldiers. Your enhanced warriors. Your genetically modified combat units." Thornick pulled up Blipnock's reconnaissance footage. "We have evidence. This elderly female lifting a vehicle, these children moving equipment that should require machinery, this accountant who throws himself off cliffs for recreation." Marcus watched the footage. Then he did something that made Thornick very uncomfortable. He laughed. "Oh man," Marcus said, wiping his eyes. "Oh no, okay. I see the confusion here. That is hilarious. Okay, let me explain something. We do not have a super soldier program. That is clearly false. We have visual evidence." "Right. But that is just Ethel. She does CrossFit. And those kids are just, kids. They have energy. And Gerald, yeah, Gerald is kind of an adrenaline junkie, but he is not special forces or anything. He works at H&R Block." Thornick's translator struggled with several of those terms. "You are claiming these are normal specimens." "Totally normal. Average. Even." "Then explain this." Thornick pulled up more files. "Humans climbing massive ice mountains with minimal equipment. For enjoyment. Humans running 26.2 miles without stopping. Also for enjoyment. Humans jumping from aircraft and pulling a fabric parachute at the last possible moment. Again, somehow, for enjoyment." Marcus nodded along. "Yeah, that is Mount Everest. People do that. And marathons are pretty popular. Like hundreds of thousands of people run those every year, and skydiving is just a fun weekend activity." "Fun weekend activity." Thornick's translator almost crashed processing those words in that sequence. Marcus pulled up his data tablet. "Here, let me show you some stuff. This is parkour. People jump between buildings and do flips. This is free climbing. That guy is holding onto a vertical rock face with just his fingers. No safety equipment. And this, oh, this is competitive eating. That man just consumed 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Thornick watched in silence. His skin tone shifted through several colors that indicated biological distress. "These are your entertainment activities." "Some of them. Yeah. We also have this thing called rugby, which is basically controlled violence, and mixed martial arts, where people just punch each other until someone gives up, and then there is bull riding where you sit on a massive angry animal and try not to die." "How many humans participate in these activities?" Marcus shrugged. "I mean, depends on the activity. Millions probably. We have got 8 billion people total. Most of them do something active. Gyms are pretty common. Sports leagues. Hiking clubs. My mom does hot yoga, which is regular yoga but in a room heated to over 100 degrees because apparently regular yoga was not challenging enough." Thornick pulled up the census data himself. Population of Earth, 8,473,000,000. Number of registered super soldiers, 0. Number of humans capable of feats that would qualify as super soldier level by Galactic Dominion standards, approximately 8,473,000,000. Thornick's formal report, submitted 6 hours later, contained only one recommendation. Turn the ships around. Immediately. General Kretch did not believe in running away from anything. He had 400 years of military experience. He had fought in the Nebula Wars. He had commanded the siege of Fortress Quintara, which everyone said was impossible until he did it anyway. He had 17 medals for bravery, 8 for tactical excellence, and 1 for most likely to solve problems by shooting them. When Thornick's report came in recommending immediate retreat, Kretch read it, crumpled it into a ball and threw it into the waste disintegrator. "Coward," he muttered. Then he called his analysts. "Get me everything on human military capabilities, physical assessments, psychological profiles, weakness analyses. I want to know how to beat these things." What came back, 3 days later, was a 4,000-page report that Kretch later described as a horror novel written by a sadistic biologist. The endurance section alone was 600 pages. Humans possess a hunting technique called persistence predation, the report stated. They do not chase prey by being faster. They chase prey until the prey collapses from exhaustion. They can run for hours, sometimes days. Their bodies have specialized cooling systems that allow them to regulate temperature during extended physical activity. When their energy stores deplete, they continue running on what they call adrenaline and spite. Kretch read about something called an ultramarathon. Humans running 100 miles, through deserts, through mountains, through frozen wastelands. Some races lasted over 24 hours. Why? Kretch asked the empty room. Why would they do this? The report had an answer. For fun, also for charity, also because someone told them they probably could not do it. The pain tolerance section was worse. Humans had invented boxing, where 2 individuals punched each other in the head until one fell unconscious. They had invented mixed martial arts, which added kicking, grappling, and joint manipulation to the head punching. They had something called hockey, played on ice, where physical collisions at high speed were considered part of the game. Rugby, which appeared to be football but without protective gear and with more tackles. They pay money to watch this, the report noted. Stadiums hold tens of thousands of spectators. They cheer when the collisions are particularly violent. Then there was the section on pack bonding. Humans have successfully domesticated over 40 species, the analyst wrote. Most notably, they took apex predators, carnivorous pack hunters called wolves, and spent thousands of years turning them into creatures called dogs. These dogs now depend on humans for survival. Many dogs are selectively bred to be small, fluffy, and completely non-threatening. Humans dress them in clothing. They throw birthday parties for them. We have footage of a human crying because their dog was sad. Kretch watched the attached video. A grown human male, probably capable of significant violence based on his size, sobbing because his dog had to wear a medical cone. They bond with anything, the analyst continued. They have bonded with cats, who provide no practical benefit, and frequently ignore them. They have bonded with lizards, with fish. We have reports of humans naming their cleaning robots and feeling guilty when they bump into furniture. But the most disturbing section was dietary habits. Humans regularly consume toxins for pleasure, the report stated, and Kretch felt something in his upper digestive tract clench. Ethanol, a literal poison, is consumed socially in large quantities. They call it alcohol. Side effects include impaired judgment, loss of motor control, and something called a hangover, which they describe as terrible. They continue drinking it anyway. They have cultivated plants that produce capsaicin, a chemical compound that triggers pain receptors. They call these plants peppers or chilies. Eating them causes sweating, tears, and burning sensations. Humans have competitions to eat the most painful varieties. They consume caffeine, a stimulant to artificially maintain alertness despite insufficient rest. Average human consumption is equivalent to a low-grade combat drug. They drink it every morning. Some drink it all day. They become chemically dependent and experience withdrawal symptoms, but consider this normal. Kretch moved on to tactical footage. He watched bull riding where humans sat on top of a massive animal specifically bred for aggression and tried to stay on for 8 seconds while the animal did everything possible to kill them. 8 seconds was considered a victory. He watched something called Australian rules football, which appeared to have no rules except get the ball and violence is encouraged. He watched a sport called ice climbing, where humans scaled frozen waterfalls using pointed metal tools. Then came the truly horrifying part. Earth is classified as a Class 12 death world, the report concluded. Gravity is higher than galactic average. Oxygen content is borderline toxic. Weather patterns include super-rotating air masses called hurricanes, electrical storms that strike the ground thousands of times per hour, and frozen precipitation that can accumulate several feet deep. Native life forms include parasites, venomous creatures, and predators that have evolved alongside humans. Humans consider this environment comfortable. They go outside for recreation. They describe their planet as beautiful. They have picnics during electrical storms. Kretch's tactical assessment was brief. Every human is a potential combat unit. All 8 billion of them. They are durable, pain-resistant, endurance-capable, and apparently insane by any reasonable definition. They live on a nightmare planet and think it is nice. Recommendation: do not invade Earth. I ignored him too. That was my second mistake. My first mistake was assuming my intelligence officers were exaggerating. My second mistake was ignoring General Kretch. My third mistake was giving the order to advance. The Dominion fleet entered Earth's atmosphere on a Tuesday morning, 17 warships, 300,000 troops, enough firepower to level every major city on the planet. We were going to make an example of one small town first. Show them we meant business. We chose a place called Cedar Falls, population 11,000, nice and manageable. The first wave landed in the town square at approximately 9 a.m. local time. Squad leader Vorn reported encountering immediate resistance from a human male designated Pete Henderson, occupation postal worker. "Sir, the human is throwing projectiles at us," Vorn transmitted. "Small boxes, packages. He has a whole vehicle full of them. His accuracy is impossible. He just hit Corporal Zink in the primary optical sensor from 40 meters away, with a box labeled fragile. Neutralize him," I ordered. "Sir, we are trying. He keeps moving. He is delivering mail while fighting us. He just said, and I quote, 'Neither snow nor rain nor alien invasion stays me from my appointed rounds.' What does that mean? Sir, he just threw a package around a corner without looking and took out Private Mel. How is he doing this?" The second squad encountered a female human at the local library, Denise Hoffman, age 39, mother of 4. She picked up a bookshelf, squad leader Tark reported, voice shaking, a full bookshelf. "It must weigh 300 pounds. She threw it at us. Then she told us to be quiet because people were studying. Sir, she is terrifying. She has this look, this mom look. It makes me want to apologize even though I have done nothing wrong. You are trained warriors. She is a librarian. Sir, she just put Private Kelm in a headlock and asked him if he was raised in a barn. He is crying. Send backup." The third squad ran into what they initially reported as minimal threat civilians. 5 college students, aged 19 to 22, sitting outside a coffee shop. These students had not slept in 3 days. They were operating on something called Red Bull, spite, and the knowledge that they had finals in 2 days. "They are feral, sir," the squad leader whispered into his communicator. "One of them just picked up a metal trash can and swung it like a club. She is 5'2". The trash can is bolted to the ground. Was bolted to the ground. Another one is fighting with a textbook, just hitting us with a book. It is very heavy. I think it is about organic chemistry. Sir, they are complaining the entire time. About exams, about their professors, about how we are making them late. They are winning while complaining." Then the reports from the edge of town came in. A retired couple, Helen and Frank Martinez, both 67 years old. They had been doing something called CrossFit for the past 5 years. They encountered an entire battalion. 45 minutes later, that battalion retreated. They would not stop, the battalion commander reported, and I could hear the trauma in his voice. We fired suppression rounds. They dodged. We advanced in formation. Frank threw a tire at us. An entire tire. Helen did a handstand and kicked 3 soldiers unconscious. With her feet, while upside down, they were encouraging each other the whole time, saying things like "good form, honey, and remember to breathe." Sir, they offered us protein shakes after. They were not even breathing hard. By noon I had lost 12% of my ground forces. By 2 p.m., Social media was full of videos of humans casually defeating trained soldiers. By 4 p.m., the humans still thought it was some kind of performance art. Weird flash mob. One video was captioned. It showed Pete the postal worker signing for a package while 3 of my troops lay unconscious behind him. I gave the order to retreat. Nobody argued. My transmission back to Dominion High Command was brief. This is Commander Zrell. The Earth invasion has been cancelled, permanently. I am recommending humans be classified as a Class X threat species. Avoid all contact. Update the galactic database immediately. Flag their solar system as a no-travel zone. Put up warning beacons. I do not care what it costs. Commander. High Command responded, explain yourself. They have 8 billion supersoldiers. Every single one of them. And they do not even know it. They think they are normal. They think their death world is pleasant. They think running until their legs stop working is fun. They domesticated wolves into pets. They consume poison socially. They throw themselves off cliffs on weekends. Sir, with all due respect, which is considerable given that I am currently fleeing at maximum speed, we cannot beat them because they do not understand that they are supposed to lose. High Command was silent for a moment. Request approved. Updating database now. As we left Earth's orbit, I monitored their communications one last time, just to see if they understood what had happened. A news broadcast from Cedar Falls was playing. In local news, the anchor said cheerfully, several residents reported strange visitors in town today. Authorities are investigating what they are calling an elaborate flash mob or possibly a promotional stunt for an upcoming movie. In other news, the weather this weekend looks beautiful, perfect for hiking. And in sports, the high school football team won their game last night, bringing their season record to 7-2. They thought we were a flash mob. A promotional stunt. I updated the galactic database myself. Species human, planet Earth. Classification Class X threat. Do not engage. Seriously, do not.